What up guys, it's your boy Rokai again with another video, and today I'm answering a question from a subscriber. In the last video, my boy Diego Gomez commented, "New subscriber, this is insane. I would love to see more future Rave tutorial, love the melody, would like to see how to work sub-bass properly on this genre." And I said, don't worry, I got you. So I'm coming today with a new video to show you guys how you can work your sub basses better and how to work your sub bass properly in this genre. It's not only about the sub bass, it's a combination of too many things. It's also what kick are you gonna choose and what works. It's not what you want, it's what works with what you have in mind. So we're gonna see all that. So it's gonna be fun. Let's go in the studio. Okay, so in order to work with a bass, you need a kick. First of all, we go 126, which is usually the BPM for future Rave. And then we're gonna search for a nice punchy kick, which is usually gonna work for every style that we're gonna see now. So, alright, so let's say we found this kick and this is the kick that we want. We make the pattern, which is 4 on the floor. Alright, and we always here choose generic bleeding. See? And it bleeds a little bit, so you avoid clicks. It's gonna mess up your mix. First of all, before talking anything, we're gonna talk about the areas that we want to build a sub bass around. Just a simple sound, because we always use simple sounds in future Rave. Alright, and we're gonna see how that works. For example, let's put this one right here, and we're gonna open an analyzer so we can see what we are playing. If we get rid of the harmonics, if we choose, for example, a sine wave, so we can feel the real sub without the harmonics, because it's psychoacoustic. You think that it has more bass, but it doesn't. We're going to talk about it later. See right here? This has too much bass. We want that. We want that too. Right here, we're starting to go very low. This is what we want. If you see right here, it says how many hertz we are right now. This one is showing. And here the note. So for example, if we play in C, we are at 32 hertz. At 32 hertz, let's see. This is C. See? Exactly, in 32 hertz. It's playing. But from your speakers, you probably won't hear it. You will barely hear it with your headphones. So, what do we do there? We don't want to write in C, because if we go in this octave, it's very low. In this octave, it's obviously very low, very high. It's not even sub. So, if we go in B, very low. In the other octave, even lower. So where you want to make your basses around, the minimum you can go is D. Alright, because D, it's the lowest you can go. It's very low. I don't recommend it. But you can write a track right here, because you can work with harmonics. For example, like this. See? Make these kind of tricks. So, especially for future Rave and any of these groovier sounds, you want to go usually from right here, from E to, I would say, maximum A, which is right here. at 55 Hz. For me, the sweet spot is G. G, F, and F sharp. For me are the sweet spots where you want to write all these kind of tracks. Because right here, see? Bass. Bass. Especially right here, we have too much bass. You feel it, you hear it and you feel it. And that's great. So, let's see how the bass works in future rave. For example, usually what you want to do is, if you have a melodic, you want your bass to follow the melody, because in this way it's all about the melody. All the track, it's all about the melody. For example, get a lead so we can have something. I'm just gonna go with the standard future ravish lead right here, Heaven on Earth. You know this track. And you know this lead. Okay. For example, if we play something like original, let's say, and we play it in G. So we go in G and we play something like this. Let's say that this melody works, for example. We just want a bass that complements that melody, because this track, for example, is going to be melodic. So the first step is to take a kick and decide the role of the kick in this track. Since it's progressive, you want a longer kick. So you want that sustain. So you want to feel the notes. You want it a little bit more open, the low end. So you go right here and let's put it to track 1. And what I always do is go and make it to last half a beat. So this is 1 beat and the kick lasts for half of it. And this always works. So if we go to our sub, what I always do is put one layer, which is a pure sine, and one other layer that is a saw wave. Now, all you want to do is copy the melody to that. So you have a rich bass with harmonics to complement the melody. And you want it, you go here and you press quick legato, so all the notes are longer and the bass lasts longer. We also route this to a track, and since our kick lasts for half a beat, our sidechain would be longer. The bass will come in when the kick will stop playing. So the kick plays until right over here, for example. If we open kickstart on the channel of the kick and we see, and we play the kick, look. It plays until here. So here is where the bass comes in to fill this space. And if we play the melody, so now the reason why it doesn't work is because this layer, it's very high. So we put it a little bit lower. The melody is not so good, that's why it doesn't work so nice. Let's see. If we take the same melody, for example, but we want to make this track groovier, what we can do is take the exact same bass and get all the notes on the root one, which is G. not exactly what we want. So what we can do is make it a little bit more groovy, so it has an attack to it, so you can feel when the sub goes in and out. It still doesn't work. It's not groovy. What you can do is take an automation, put it on the same two channels, press Alt-Shift and click right here, so it goes only one way. Select 12 semitones, which is an octave. So it goes from G1 to G2, for example, but it does so as we say it. For example, with a decay very short, like this, for 50 milliseconds. So you only get that punch from the sub. See? So if we open up a kickstart on the master and we check our waveform right here, just to see the waveform, we close the lid, we see that the kick is too loud. Volume plays a very crucial role in this one. You want, before going into EQ, distortion or whatever, you want your volumes to be right. See? The bass line is groovy now. Now something else you can do is, for example, go to some notes and do this. Put it an octave higher, open serum, select mono, legato, put like 30 milliseconds, for example, whatever works, we'll see. And do this. These are glides, so you won't hear whoop. See? What you can also do is go right here and make them shorter. Just a little bit. It doesn't make a big difference, but it does, let's say, because if you leave this space, even though it's not so dramatic as a change, it's psychoacoustic because the bass stops for a while, your ears get it, and then the next bass comes in, which has the attack that we gave it from this envelope, and you get the feeling that it's even more snappier than it actually is, because you have this little gap between the two notes. See? So the melody is the worst melody that I could ever make, but at least you get the point. Even though with such a bad melody, we can manage to make a groove and make the track moving with these techniques. And you see, it's about a little details. Just knowing what you do, knowing what you're doing. See, right here, just with this little envelope. We can even close it a little bit. Just with the little envelopes right here. Just with this trick right here. Another way is, as we saw before, to follow the melody. In this case, it didn't work very well because the melody is bad. But if you're going for a more melodic future Raves, you want it to follow the actual notes. If you see that it doesn't work, you go to this alternative. You start making it groovier. Or you change the melody. Because in case you want to make a track melodic, the sub and the lead doesn't work together nice. It means that the lead it's not melodic enough, or it's not strong enough or catchy enough to make the track work. Because if it's good, so the bass will be good just by putting on the notes. And see, we're using very, very basic sounds. That's what you want in future rave. Basic sounds that make the track full. So the other way to go, it's this way. Is long sustained notes like big room. So you get this. Like big room. They have one track which is called Impossible, where they do this. But in this case, you don't. This is not enough, because even though it's full for the low end, you miss a little bit of the groove right here, because you want to feel this offbeat bass. And in order to do that, you usually go for a sample, a one shot. You just find a random one shot that works for your track. Let's find one. So let's say, for example, we take this one. It's very bad, but we're gonna filter the bad frequencies out. And you want to put it offbeat. So you get like tuku, 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 tuku. You get this one, this kind of groove. You cut it, of course. You see? It's just where the kick stops, the bass starts playing. And also does the sub with the sidechain. You make it a little bit shorter, you put it on a track, and you cut the high frequencies. Something like this, maybe. This is more like a Melbourne bounce kind of style, but you get the idea. If you listen to Impossible, I cannot play it right now because I don't want to get copyrighted. And if you listen to Impossible, you will see that it's this exact same structure. And there, what you want for your lead and your melody, you don't go with this kind of lead. You go with something more stronger and more sustained. Let's see what we can get from the same pack. Something like this, maybe. And you want to do like bigger notes, more sustained, and again utilize octaves. And you have this kind of style. Then you put some rides, you put some stuff in it, like this. But the whole thing is that it depends on the style of the track. It's not only about how the sub bass works, it's also what the melody is doing, because the one complements the other. What I suggest is get your idea first, write the melody, what you have in your head, how is that melody? So then you want something that complements that melody, something like this that we made right here. See, you have a big melody, sustained, that it keeps playing, so, and the bass complements that with not too much, just a little bit of groove, like tuku, 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 and the melody is doing the same thing. It's playing a simple rhythm. Now, if you have an idea, for example, that you have a melody that it's very sharp, very fast and groovy, like for example, the track that we made on the last video, if you have in your head a melody, like the last melody we made on the previous video, that it's a little bit more, let's say, fast, more groovy, the bass line, if you go to that video too, complements that. It's groovier, changes octaves, but changes octave where the melody does not change in octaves. So the one complements the other. So that's more or less how the sub bass, or maybe the whole genre, works. If you know how to make big room, you can probably make future rave. it's more or less the same thing. You just utilize octaves. Always remember that. Utilize octave in the bass and also in the leads, especially in the leads. Octaves and semitones. It's all about sound selection, and it's all about what you're doing and knowing what you're doing. And this comes from practice and making bad tracks. I encourage you to make bad tracks. This kind of knowledge and this kind of experience doesn't come from just one day to another. I've been making music for 10 years. I've been doing ghost production for other artists the last 5 years. So I've made like too many tracks and so many ideas. And that's how I get to this level. I already know how it's gonna sound or what I'm looking for. So make bad tracks, experiment, and always reference, keep reference in your tracks. Listen how yours sounds and how the other track sounds. How close can you get? If you can get like 50, 60, 80% close, depending on your level, it's enough. You can never go 100%. But that's how you have to work. Let me know in the comments if you want me to go into even more details. I don't think we have to go into more details. I think we just covered it more or less all. But let me know in the comments if you want to see something else or maybe another genre. We can talk about it a little more. And yeah, subscribe and peace.